Hello, and welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm your host, Dave Nelson, and I represent the Government Relations Committee of the Collierville Chamber of Commerce, whose goal is to provide a forum whereby our voters can learn more about our candidates running in contested races for the office of alderman. In this upcoming election in Collierville, we have two alderman positions that have contested races. For alderman position 2, we have incumbent Billy Patton being challenged by political newcomer John Stamps. And at Alderman 4 position, we have incumbent Tom Allen being challenged by another political newcomer, attorney Greg Cotton. Today our candidates will be asked a series of questions that were drafted by the League of Women Voters. I would like to thank the League for their assistance with this project. And of course, you would not be viewing these interviews without the amazing technical help provided by our own Collierville Municipal School District, Collierville High School, Mr. Jeff Robbins, and his students in the Communications Department. With Mr. Robbins and his students' help, you will be able to view these interviews on CHS TV as well as other various social media outlets. You may also check out a DVD of these interviews from our Collierville Birch Library or from the Chamber of Commerce. So let's begin. In this session of Meet the Candidates, we're joined by local businessman John Stamps. John was raised in the Collierville area and has always called Collierville home. With John's career, however, he traveled and lived in Boston, Detroit, Colorado, and Hawaii. He's also traveled throughout Europe, Australia, Korea, Japan, and Africa. That's a lot, John. And yet, I'm convinced that John suffers from the Dorothy syndrome from The Wizard of Oz and finally realized there's no place like home. Eventually, John made his way back home to Collierville, and he and his wife, Kathy, who works at Bailey Station Elementary, bought their first home together when they married in 1995. They have two children, Brooke and Thomas. John is a fourth-generation Colliervillian, following a long line of Stampses. Over these 4 generations, his family has had a positive impact on Collierville's history. His family has been involved in the community as merchants, business owners, and community leaders. John is now putting his mark on Collierville with his business, Stamps Real Estate, which is located in the historic town square. John has held numerous positions with professional organizations such as the Memphis Area Association of Realtors, where he has been the chairman of the Government Affairs Group. He's also the director for the Tennessee Association of Realtors. John is involved in our community and is a graduate of Leadership Collierville and has also served on its board. He serves as chairman of the Board of Zoning Affairs and was a member of the 2040 Land Use Steering Committee. He has served on the Planning and Historic Commission. John and his family are part of Central Church here in Collierville, and they are very involved in our community, in particular with the Down Syndrome Association. John helped start and support a group of fathers that have had children with Down syndromes, and he calls that group Dads. Dads Appreciating Down Syndrome. So help me welcome John Stamps. John, great to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you.
So we're here to inform our citizens here in Collierville about just who you are and where you stand with the issues.
Yes, sir.
So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, John, why do you want to be alderman, and what experience and qualifications will you be bringing to the position?
Well, I started this journey about 10 years ago when I started Leadership Collierville in 2004 and graduated. And when you graduate from Leadership Collierville, the doors open and you have a lot of opportunities to be involved in the community. And I was asked to be on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I did that sort of there for a little while. And then I was on the Historic District. I sit on Main Street, Collierville. And a couple of years ago, the mayor had asked me to be on the Planning Commission. So with me, I just feel like this is probably a natural progression to the next level or the next step. I've been very involved in the community, like you said. I appreciate the intro. And I really love being a part of it. When I started put my business up on the town square about 2.5 years ago, I felt like I was really embraced and really wanted to get involved. And so I just feel very comfortable and excited about this new opportunity.
You know, leaders are people with vision. How do you envision the future of Collierville?
I envision it greatly. I'm excited about it. That's one reason I want to be a part of it. I'm raising the 5th generation of Stamps, and I'm really excited about it. I see Collierville really growing in a really good direction right now, especially with the start of our municipal schools. And I see with what we've been through in the last several years, the economy, I see that growing very well. And I feel that Collierville is very evenly based between residential, commercial, business, and industrial. So all those together, I feel like our future is going to be great. We're moving in the right direction.
You know, last month, Parade Magazine named Collierville the best main street in America, recognizing our small town charm. How would you work as alderman to maintain that celebrated atmosphere of a small town with increasing the growth in businesses?
Great question. I feel the spirit of Collierville comes from the town square. And like I said, when I moved my business up there 2.5 years ago, I just really, when I found that spot, I said, oh my gosh, I found it. And so being on Main Street, Collierville, and we're always trying to figure out ways of helping develop the downtown area and encouraging people to come down there. Well, winning the Parade magazine has been phenomenal. And now being down on the square, I can see people from all over coming down and starting to see and visit. I see them trickling in kind of here and there, and I'm hearing their stories. The other day, we got a bus ride of people that came in that just kind of showed up. And I think that's going to start to catch us off guard. But I'd like to encourage businesses to embrace this and also see more businesses come on the town square and maybe even grow the town square a little bit larger.
You know, after years of planning, the much anticipated Collierville Municipal School System opened for business this fall. How involved should the Board of Aldermen be with the Municipal School Board to support this new Collierville Municipal School District?
I think together, we all together need to work together as a collaboration. This new school, municipal schools, is a big venture for the city, and it's going to be a big challenge moving forward in making sure that we have good structure and the funding as well. So I think it's going to be a strong collaboration on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, the Planning Commission, all the commissions, the residents, the business owners. We're all in this together. We want this community to be very strong.
You know, you spoke of funding. As Collierville's population increases, one or more new schools are going to need to be added. That's going to include adding teachers, staff, and all types of other expenses. How do you view that Collierville should be able to handle those expenses? How do we pay for that?
Well, I think that we've already set a stage where when we were anticipating this with the new sales tax that came in, and that was voted in overwhelmingly. And so I really think that the citizens are very much behind this. And so I think that that's going to be kind of a tough pill to swallow when we find out exactly how much it's going to be. But I think and I feel that this community is going to embrace it and really want to move forward with it.
The safety of our town is always an important issue. Crime is always a concern in larger metropolitan areas. In conjunction with the Collierville Police Department, as alderman, what specific actions would you support to protect Collierville citizens?
You know, I think there's been a lot about education, but truly safety trumps everything. And that's very important. I don't think that we're very fortunate in our community where we don't have a big or a lot of issues about crime, but we do have issues with crime. I think prevention is the key word, and as far as making sure, being very visible in the communities and how we're structured. The fire and the police are extremely important to our community to keep us safe. So I think prevention is probably key there, and also educating neighbors and residents on community interaction, neighborhood watches, things like that. And then also sometimes you just got to teach people the simple things in life that you know, prevention can come down to maybe not leaving things out, because crime can be opportunity as well. And if you've got laptops that are laying on your car seat or something like that, I mean, really just need to kind of put those things around. Garage doors being open, it just gives an opportunity if somebody is thinking the wrong way to run in and do something they shouldn't be doing in the first place. So I think prevention is very strong.
Okay. You know, taxes is on everybody's mind. But when you think about taxes, would you be in favor, or where do you stand on if it was required to have additional taxes to support our police and fire department?
Well, taxes are always a really tough thing for the community. The fire and the police are extremely important to our community. And as far as if they approached us and said that there was a need, then we would have to sit down and look at what the needs were and really study and look over what we would need to do as far as funding those needs. So I'm not opposed to taxes. Being in real estate, property taxes are extreme. We always try to say, let's just don't always come after the taxes. I think there are other creative ways to try to raise funds, and I'd like to challenge the city and Collierville before we go after property taxes and different things like that, to say, let's see if there's other ways to fund the needs of the community with fire and police.
You know, during this Meet the Candidates session, what we're trying to do is give our people out in the town an example of what your thoughts are on issues and topics. We've pretty much hit on a broad base of them today. So since we have limited time in our interview, with our kind of at the close of this interview, I'd like for you to just tell me, is there any issue or topic that you feel we need to cover more, or that we haven't covered in this interview, that you'd like to discuss with the people of Collierville?
Well, I think that Collierville has been growing very well, and I think we've got a bright future, as one of the questions we said. And I think the day-to-day operations, trying to anticipate the needs of our school system and how that's going to grow is going to be a big challenge for our community. And I feel very proud to be here, like we talked about, a fourth generation Colliervillian, raising the fifth generation. This is something I've really wanted to get involved with, and I think that smart decision making, common sense decision making is very important moving forward. Smart growth is a part of my campaign, one of my platforms, and I think that that's extremely important right now as we move forward.
Final question, John.
Yes.
Why should the citizens of Collierville vote for you?
I feel that I'm the right candidate for this position. I'm excited about it. Like I said, I have a love and a passion for this city, and I feel that my knowledge, my experience with the town, like I said, this journey that I've started, this is the right direction. And I feel that when they go to vote on November 4th, that when they look down and they see the name John Stamps, that they'll press that button with an open heart and realize he's the right man for this position. And I appreciate their vote.
Wonderful, John. We enjoyed having you today. We enjoyed having our audience here for Meet the Candidates. Thank you very much. During this session of Meet the Candidates, we are joined by local businessman and alderman in the position 2, Mr. Billy Patton. Billy Patton holds a bachelor and master's degree in computer science engineering from the University of Mississippi. Go Rebels. He and his wife, Dr. Amy Patton, Doctor of Pharmacy, have been married for 23 years and have 2 kids, Emily and William. Billy moved to Collierville 15 years ago after graduating from Ole Miss, when he was hired by FedEx right out of college and was assigned to the World Tech Center in Collierville in 1999. Boy, you must have been able to still smell the new paint in that building. Billy was named as an Employee of the Month for his Y2K upgrades in 2000. He founded Patton Computers in 2002 and left FedEx in 2007 to dedicate more of his time to his business. He also serves as postmaster of a contract postal unit established at Patton Computers in 2008. He has been actively involved in the community. He's a graduate of Leadership Collierville in 2008. He served on the Collierville Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. He also was a past member of Bancorp South Bank Board of Directors, and has served on several town boards, including the Collierville Beer Board, the Design Review Commission, and is currently serving his 3rd year on the Town Library Board. The Patton family actively supports Collierville High School athletics and various other Collierville organizations. Billy is an active member of the Collierville First Pentecostal Church. So help me welcome Mr. Billy Patton. Billy, we're glad to have you here today.
Good to be here.
You know, today what we want to do is give the Collierville citizens an idea of who you are and where you stand with the issues. So we appreciate you coming for the interview. So our first question out of the box is, why do you want to continue to be an alderman, and what experience and qualifications do you bring to the position?
Well, I believe that I bring a technology background and a unique perspective to the board, and also I enjoy being with the different residents that come into my place of business, and they come in and they talk to me about their different issues, such as, drainage issues, sewer being backed up. You just never know on a daily basis of what kind of problem. And in my line of business and fixing computers, I'm a problem solver, and I love to be on the board and help people solve their problems through whatever function that may be at the town. And I believe I bring a different element to the board. We have a very diversified current board of mayor and aldermen, but with the technology background, I think I bring a different perspective.
Billy, leaders always have a vision. How do you envision the future of Collierville?
Well, I would like to see Collierville stay and have the same small town charm that it currently does. It pains me to think of Collierville at 100,000 or 85,000, which is the maximum build out, is what they've tell us. I believe that the majority of residents, if you were to ask them, they would like to see some growth, but it needs to be a small growth at a time. The average population increasing in the rural towns and the cities across America is 3%. I'd like for us to not increase no more than 3 to 5%. And can you imagine Poplar Avenue today at 85,000 at noon? It would just be really congested. And so I see Collierville staying more of what you see today, with maybe a little bit more businesses. I'd like to see more places for people to play, and better jobs. Jobs that will help us live in the homes that we're living in now.
You mentioned small town charm. Well, just last month, Parade Magazine recognized Collierville as having the best main street in America, recognizing that small town charm. How, as alderman, would you work to maintain the celebrated atmosphere of a small town with the increased growth of businesses?
Well, I think that the small town charm is everything relates back to the residents. Many people have moved here because of that small town charm. I'd like to see us continue like we're having Frozen tonight, but I'd like to see us continuing the events, the summer concert series, maybe expanding on that a little bit more, and maybe hear the Ames game a little bit more. That's a plug for you.
There you go. Thank you very much.
But I'd like to see that happen. That we don't lose sight. The library. We're fixing to go into an expansion on our library. I think that you combine all that, but we do need to have a little bit better economic development. And in the last couple of months, we've made huge strides in our economic development department. We've hired a economic development director, John Duncan, who's doing a fantastic job. We're having businesses that are calling. We're putting packets together. They have local packets that they've put together with different amenities and categorizing the different lands that we have that's available for headquarters and things like that. But I think combined with economic development along with good PR from our public information officer, Mark Heiberger's doing an excellent job there. Social media has been top of his list lately. You see the Twitter feeds. You see we're putting out newspaper articles, and the different other suburban cities are taking notice of that. And so we're becoming a leader, and people are looking forward to us.
After the years of planning, the much anticipated Collierville Municipal School System opened for business this fall. How involved should the Board of Aldermen be in the municipal school board, with the municipal school board, to support the new Collierville Municipal School District?
Well, I had so many people has contacted the different aldermen I can say for myself, people would walk into my place of business and they're either teaching down in Memphis or they're teaching at other places, and they're wanting to know, how do I go about getting a job at the Collierville schools? We elected as a town a great school board, very diversified, but they control almost every aspect of what's going to happen with the schools. They have been elected. We've been elected to run the town, but they've been elected to to oversee the schools. And we have a superintendent, John Aiken, and he supervises the day-to-day operations. So it can't be misconstrued that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen are actually going to dabble into the operational aspects of the Collierville Municipal Schools. And sometimes people think, we don't even submit, applications over there. Hey, I think that he would be a great person for a job. All of that goes through Mr. John Aiken. But I think that where we come in is it's our job to work hand in hand with the Collierville Municipal School Board to come up and to fund their budget. So they're going to have to make requests to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. It'll be up to us to find unique and ways to fund their capital improvements, their CIP. We have a lot of deferred maintenances on our buildings that are needing to be done, roofs that are leaking, additions that need to be put on. We have a new high school that needs to be built. All of these are funding opportunities that the town of Collierville, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, will have to work hard with the school board on coming up with ways to fund it, whether it be a tax increase, and that's a bad word, but whether it be a tax increase for our education for the kids, or whether we can find more economic development that can be done so that we can get greater local option sales tax. So we need to work hand in hand with the municipal board to fund their needs. And it'll be up to, they're going to give us their needs, and I'm sure they're not going to ask for anything that they don't really need, but it's up to us to come up with unique ways of getting the money to them to fund their needs.
That kind of goes hand in hand with my next question. Because as Collierville's population increases, obviously there are going to be needs for additional schools. It's going to require additional teachers and staff. How do we pay for that?
Well, being a fiscal conservative, I'm not for increasing taxes to where you tax our residents, to where the burden upon them becomes so great that they decide that they don't want to live here any longer. So the short end of the stick, we're going to, a new high school is going to run us anywhere between, I think Arlington was $40 million, and that was several years back. So you're talking about $50 to $60 million for a new high school. In order to do that, just the debt service on $50 to $60 million, paying no principal, would be about a 30 to 35 cent tax increase in the town, which is about a 25% tax increase. And so we have to look at ways, our local option sales tax going from 9.25% to 9.75%, it generates a little over $4 million. We're only, our service to the school is $2.1 million, so it leaves us about a $2 million a year that we can put towards savings, capital improvements for the schools. And the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, we decided not to use any of that money. It has been, our word of honor that we had put that into an account set aside strictly for the schools. So we know we're going to have about a $2 million without any new economic development. Any new businesses come into town, we're going to have about $2 million into a pot that can be used for capital improvements. But $2 million towards $60 million is a very small amount. So there will be some form of a tax increase. There will have to be. But I would like to find unique and creative ways that we can bring more businesses into town so that we can get business tax, personality tax, local option sales tax, all these different areas that we can actually put toward that. And so it's going to be an interesting time over the next 2 to 3 years. I think a new high school has to be built here in the next 2 to 3 years. And this is coming from our school board that is telling us their needs.
Okay. Safety of our town is always an important issue. Crime is always a concern in large metropolitan areas because it's a lot of times increasing. In cooperation with the Collierville Police Department, As alderman, what specific actions would you support to protect our Collierville citizens?
We have to, first of all, we need to make sure that we have the best and the brightest young men that are applying for our positions, our current positions. And we do have some positions that are open with the Collierville Police Department. I would like to see an increase in officers. I spoke and brought it up, and we had some press on putting an SRO, which is a school resource officer, in every school. It's critical for us, for the kids, to work with these school resource officers as they're young, so that when they get into their teenage years, they will have respect for authority. These officers will know who they are. So I think that we have to support the police chief, Larry Goodwin. He's a great man. We have to support their department. We have to make sure they have the funding. We currently, one of the things that we've done is I sat on the committee as the alderman liaison for a new radio system. That new radio system is bringing new technology that we currently did not have. Our GPS was only tracking our cars every 2 minutes. Now with the new technology, new radio with GPS built into the car radios, we're going to have a 1 to 2 second lag, so we can track our cars, utilize our resources just a little bit better. Instead of we're going to put iPads, and we're going to put we have a mobile data terminals that we're going to put in every car, so that they don't have to drive back reports to the police department, so that they don't have to type in these reports. They'll automatically be inputted into the database. And so all of these different things, these technology advancements, is going to help the police department. But at the same time, we need to make sure they're fully staffed, and we need to make sure that I'd like to see a car at every entry and every exit location. So if you come into Collierville, you know that we mean business.
Okay. Taxes is always on everybody's mind, and I know we've touched on it a little bit today. Would you support us as aldermen in additional taxes if it was needed to support our police and fire departments?
To say that would be asking if we would earmark, I believe that would be asking if we would earmark a tax for police and public safety. I don't believe that is something that needs to be done. I'm against earmarks. We've gone away from earmarking anything. Right now, most people don't know, we spend $11 million out of our budget every year just on the police department. The fire department is the second largest budget. And I wouldn't be for earmarking a tax specifically for public safety, but I would be for increasing their budget each year, and they have towed the line really well. But if there's something that they need for cars or infrastructure, the radio system I just talked about was the first preliminary estimate was $3.2 million, but we were able to whittle that down, and we spent $2.4 million this year on new radios, and that's for all of public safety. The fire got the specialty kind of radios that actually they're waterproof. So we went and got the best of the best for the equipment for the fire department. And so no, I would not be for putting a tax specifically just for public safety, only because I believe it's an earmark. Would I be in favor of making sure that they're fully funded? Yes, I would. But no earmarks.
Billy, as we're winding down on our interview, we've touched on a lot of broad topics that I think our citizens are concerned with. Is there anything that we didn't cover, any topic or issue that we didn't cover, or that you would like the folks in Collierville to know about before we conclude the interview?
I think one of my platform that one of the areas of my platforms that's real near and dear to me is the infrastructure of Collierville. If you invest in infrastructure, it's not something that just goes away. It's not just this little number that you throw down on a budget sheet and you spend it and it's gone. If you invest in your roads, next year you get to drive on them roads, and the following year you get to drive on them. So investing in infrastructure is one of the things we need to continue. In the prior 4 years that I was on the board, we went through tough economic times, and because of that, we weren't able to pave as many roads back in 2008, 2009. I'm proud to say in the 4 years that I have been, budget years I've been a part of, we have spent more money, over $1 million a year in our paving project every single year. And that's a credit not just to myself, but to the rest of the board, who all has to agree that that is a priority for the town. So investing in the drainage issues around town, we have the White Road drainage issues, drainage detention pond that we put there, but investing in infrastructure will pay dividends in the future of Collierville. So I would like to see us, that's a topic near and dear to me, is the infrastructure and keeping the infrastructure up to par.
Final question, Billy.
Sure.
Why should the citizens of Collierville re-elect you?
They should re-elect me because they can walk into Patent Computers anytime they want to. I'm one of the most easily findable aldermen in town. And I will work hard. Anytime they email me, I will email them back. Anytime they have an issue, I'll work hard to make sure that I get them satisfaction, because I recognize that the taxpayers, not the businesses, Patent Computers does not get a vote. It's the taxpayers that get the vote. Each one of them get an individual vote. And the residents, the rest of the businesses, my business, we live off the goodwill of the taxpayers that come in and spend money with the businesses. And I recognize that the taxpayer is at the top, not at the bottom.
Billy Patton, we appreciate your time. And this concludes another session of Meet the Candidates. Thank you very much. During this session of Meet the Candidates, we're joined by local attorney Greg Cotton. Greg and his wife Debbie have been Collierville residents for 16 years. They have 4 children and 4 grandchildren, with the newest arrival that just showed up just last Sunday, right, Greg?
3:11 p.m.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Greg founded the Cotton Law Firm in 1990. He concentrated his practice on the areas of corporate litigation, personal injury, probate, and domestic relations. Mr. Cotton earned his BA degree from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and earned his JD degree from the Cumberland School of Law at Samford University. He's a member of Memphis and Shelby County, Birmingham, Tennessee, Alabama state bars, as well as various courts, federal courts, including the United States Supreme Court bar. Greg is a member of the Second Baptist Church, where he serves as a trustee and serves as a Sunday school teacher for many years. Greg is currently serving his second term on the Town Planning Commission, Board of Directors for the Collierville Chamber of Commerce, Board of Directors for the Family Promise, and President of the Touchdown Club of Memphis. Prior to his service on the Town Planning Commission, he served several years on the Beer Board. He sits on a special General Sessions Court judge in Shelby County. He's also certified by the Tennessee Supreme Court as a Rule 31 certified mediator and lecturer for the National Business Institute. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for inviting me.
We want to make sure that our citizens here in Collierville get a clear understanding for you about what you're all about. So we want to start out with, why do you want to be an alderman? And what qualifications and experience would you be bringing to the position?
I want to be an alderman because Collierville's been good to me and my family. And it's time that the leadership in Collierville, the town of Collierville, focus on yes, not no. That's yes to funding education. That's yes to corporate growth, business growth. That's yes to tourism. Yes to upgrading infrastructure, not no. No to Baptist Hospital, not no to funding education, not no to extending Wolf River Boulevard out past Cypress Springs. We've got to have progressive leadership in this town because we want Collierville to become the premier destination for people seeking a quality education system and a good opportunity to grow their business. That's why.
Wonderful. You know, leaders are people with vision. How do you envision the future of Collierville?
I think that Collierville, we have an opportunity again to turn Collierville into the premier destination to live. Why? We've got our new school system. We will have the best system in the state. I don't think there's any question about that. We got John Aiken, Kathy Messerly, Mark Hansen, Kevin Vaughn. I mean, we've got the leadership in place. We've got to fund it. My vision is a unified school, a unified high school, a new high school, because we've got to accommodate all the new residents that are going to come to town because of the new residential growth, all because of the school system and the businesses that are going to come to town. I think that I see a Collierville where the tax base is broadened because of the growth of business, economic growth here in town, not balanced on the back of homeowners. I see new subdivisions that are all quality construction. I see the continuation of planned growth. That's the secret to the whole thing. In order to sustain it, you've got to plan it and control it. That's my vision, and if you do those things, you're going to provide an outstanding quality of life for our residents.
Wonderful. Last month, Parade Magazine named Collierville the best main street in America, recognizing our small town charm. How would you, as alderman, work to maintain the celebrated atmosphere of our small town with the increased growth of businesses? Again,
you've got to plan your development. You got to plan your economic development, where it's going to take place. Are you going to use mixed-use developments? Are you going to have corporate industrial parks? That type of thing. You don't need and you don't want new type construction for business like warehouses and things mixed in with your residential use. You want to maintain, and if you'll notice, down around the square now, under the 2040, Collierville 2040, we're doing all the fill-in projects down there, and they're nothing but high quality. They all maintain the flavor of old Collierville, and that's how you do it, and that's why you want, and it's going to keep tourists coming to town. They bring dollars, they fund our education system. That's what we want to do.
After years of planning, the much anticipated Collierville Municipal School System opened for business this fall. How involved should the Board of Aldermen be with the Municipal School Board to support the new Collierville Municipal School District?
The Board of Mayor and Aldermen have got to do one thing. They've got to keep their hands off, because we've got the people that know how to run that school system. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen need to make sure that there's adequate funding so that the schools are adequately staffed, so that the schools, so again we have the one high school, so that we have the room, the capacity to absorb all the new students, provide them, keep the quality of education up high, and also to make sure that we have the technology provided so the students can exercise the use of that technology. But you got to be smart about that. You can't just throw money at it. You want to invest in technology that's not going to be, out of date in 6 months. You want something that's going to last, and you're going to get your dollars use out of it. So that's how the Board of Mayor and Aldermen can enhance our school system.
Okay. As Collierville's population increases, one or more new schools and additional teachers and staff are going to be required. How will Collierville meet the needs of these new expenses?
You don't tax your way to covering your school system. You grow your way to doing it, and you do that with economic development. You've got John Duncan now, new economic development director for the town. With John Duncan partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to join forces, if you will, to showcase Collierville to not just our region, but to the country. That and what we have to offer. We have a good workforce in place, we have an educated workforce, and we can only provide a better educated workforce with our school system. You get the businesses to come to town, and by the way, you need to not just bring new business, but you've got to engage existing business, involve them, keep them involved. That's how you're going to fund your school system.
Safety of our town is always an important issue. Crime is always a concern in large metropolitan areas. In cooperation with the Collierville Police Department, as alderman, what specific action would you support to protect Collierville citizens?
One, you got to make sure that the roads are right, so you got infrastructure. You got to keep that infrastructure in good sound condition. You got to make sure that our officers, and I have contact with fellows over at the police department on a regular basis because of my appearances over in the town court. They do a great job. They really do a great job. But we've got to continue to fund them adequately so they've got the training, they get to attend the proper academies, they get the technological advances that allow them to cover more ground and do a better job with the personnel we have. And you want to make sure that if they add on personnel, that it's justified. You don't just go out and see, I got told a long time ago, you treat other people's money like it's yours. You don't go out and spend people's money unless it's the way you'd spend it. So you want to make sure that those expenses are justified and they're good quality expenses that you're going to get the bang for the buck down the road.
You know, taxes are always on people's mind. Would you support additional city taxes if they were needed to support our police and fire departments?
What I think you do about taxes is this. You don't go out, like I say, you don't go spend somebody's money right now, okay? But what you do is you've got to examine what's out there, what's available, okay? Are there grants out there? Are there private funding available? Are there state funding available, federal funding available? You've got to examine all of those avenues before you even consider raising taxes. Would I support raising taxes? Not right this minute. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, there's under no condition would I do it, because things change. You get new ideas, you get new information, and you can't close yourself off to that. You've got to be open to that because as a leader, you've got to do what's right for the constituency. And that may not always be popular. But you've got to study it, you've got to inform yourself, and then make that decision that you can look yourself in the mirror the next morning and say, I did the right thing.
You know, Greg, we've covered a lot of broad-based topics that I think our citizens are going to be very excited to learn your views on. But we're coming to the end of our interview, and I want to ask you, is there anything that you want the people out there watching this interview to know, any issue that you're passionate about, or any topics that you would like them to know before we conclude this interview?
Two things. And I'm concerned with our education system and adequately funding the same. I'm concerned about making sure that we've got the funds to create a unified high school, one high school that will accommodate all of our students. I want our kids to be able to play football where they go to school. I don't want them to have to go across town to practice. I don't want them to have to go across town to play ball. I want them to be right where they go to school. Now, you've got to plan for that. I think I'm just passionate about the fact that we've got to adequately plan for the growth of our system because it's going to grow. But uncontrolled growth is a cancer. We don't want that. First and foremost, you've got to have economic development. And I'll be honest with you. One of my pet peeves with my opponent is cutting funding for the Chamber of Commerce. Why? That's a good dollar well spent, because that's an investment in the future growth of and prosperity of Collierville. Not going out and spending money on I hate to say it, but a dog park when we've already got, all studies show, a dog park for the 45,000 citizens, and that's what they recommend. I'd rather take that $140,000 and adequately fund the people that help make this town money.
Final question. Why would someone vote for you, Greg? What is going to be the thing that's going to push you over the top?
Because everything that I've just told you, I'm the guy to get it done. That's why. A leader is a fella or a woman that can motivate a group of people to go out and accomplish a common goal. And you've got to be able to form coalitions. You've got to be able to talk to people. You've got to be able to convince them that you can do what you say you're going to do, and don't ever overpromise. I got 3 things I'm in control of, and that's all. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to work hard. And if you call me, I'll call you back.
Greg, thank you so much for your time. I know our citizens out there watching this interview will gain great insights into just exactly who you are and what you're about. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much. That concludes our session with Meet the Candidates. During this session of Meet the Candidates, we're joined by Alderman Tom Allen. Tom and his wife, Jatel, moved to Collierville in 1989. And just recently, this past month, celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. So congratulations, Tom. 50 years, 2 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 step-grandchildren later. Here Tom is as Alderman of Collierville. Tom holds a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture degree from Tennessee Tech. He was a regional manager for Arcadian Corporation for over 30 years before retiring in 1997. Tom has been active in the community as a volunteer since 1990 and was a founding member of the re-established Collierville Republican Club, serving as its president. He is a charter member of the Collierville Schilling Farms YMCA, a charter member and vice president of the Collierville Lions Club. Throughout his 8 years serving as town alderman, Tom has also served on the Comprehensive Land Use Plan Committee, the Planning Commission, the Industrial Development Board, the Library Board, Collierville's Arts Council, the Parks Advisory Board, and currently serves on the Design Review Commission. Tom is a U.S. Army veteran and is a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. He is a graduate of Leadership Collierville and a member of Germantown Church of Christ. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
You know, during these interviews, what we want to do is give the folks in Collierville an opportunity to understand better where you stand on various issues.
Right.
We want to always start out with, why do you want to continue to be alderman, Tom, and what experience and qualifications do you bring to the position?
Man, who would not want to be an alderman in the county of Collierville with the opportunity that we have before us? We just went through the greatest challenge that we've had of having our own school system. And my experience as a manager for a large corporation for 30-some odd years, also a small businessman, also a part owner of a mid-sized company when we bought the ag division from Allied Chemical. So with that experience and with the town that I've known to grow up here, they've got 3 grandchildren that are going through the school here in Collierville, I think I'm well qualified. And I have 8 years experience on the town board. I review the budget real closely. I'm always an analysis of financial statements. That's what I've done since I was in the service, to make sure that I think every tax dollar that we collect is spent in a proper and correct way.
You know, leaders are people of vision. How do you envision the future of Collierville?
I think we just like one of those diamonds you find over in Hope, Arkansas. It's kind of rough right now, but we got the greatest potential ahead of us with having our own school system. Also with the development down south in Marshall County of all the warehouses and developments going to happen there in the next 5 years, those people are going to shop in Collierville. Some of them are going to live in Collierville. And as we develop our school system, it's going to be the greatest school system in the state of Tennessee. Also, we got one of the safest towns in the state of Tennessee. I think we were like 14 of all the towns in the state of Tennessee being that safe. And that's why people move here. They want safety and they want a good school system. And what's amazing to me is our seniors are behind it just about 100%.
You know, last month, Parade Magazine came out and named Collierville the best main street in America, recognizing our small town charm. How would you, as alderman, continue to work to maintain that celebrated atmosphere of a small town while working to increase the growth of businesses?
What I would do is, like downtown area, we begin to see some rooftops, and that's what it's going to take. We're going to revitalize the whole center street. Also, we have made it in the last 8 years more friendly towards the small businesses, because they're the backbone of our nation. I was a small businessman to start with. I know what it's all about. I know the difficulties you have to go through. And I think since the last 8 years, we have made it a lot easier for small business to come into Collierville, which 10, 15 years ago, it was very difficult. And a lot of business would not even come here or even consider come here. But now they're coming back because we got the growth potential and we got a school system.
You know, after years of planning, the much anticipated Collierville Municipal School System opened for business this fall. How involved should the Board of Aldermen be with the Municipal School Board to support the new Collierville Municipal School District?
Well, I think it's amazing. Here you merge two large units with a budget of $130 million plus dollars. And both boards have worked together like one. We have supported the school system as much as we possibly. We're the financial end of the school system. If they need extra money, they got to come to us. And a good example of that is when we came out with a 0.5 cent sales tax. I got a resolution passed unanimously by the board that all that money would go towards the school system. We could not spend it anywhere else. Due to that fact, after we paid all the attorneys litigation going through, also the consultants that we had, we ended up with about $5 million. Well, the school system is running about $9 million short of cash flow until they start receiving their money from the county and from the state. We were able to loan them that money until they get their money starts flowing into them. And that shows you how close we work with them. We didn't have to go out and borrow money for them to start the school system. We were able to save enough with a 0.5 cent sales tax and our other reserve funds to support them 100%.
You know, as Collierville's population increases, possibly one or more schools will be needed to be built.
Yes, sir.
And with that comes teachers and staff that will need to be brought on. How will Collierville be able to meet those expenses?
Well, we're just giving you a good example here. To build a high school projection right now, it'd take about $45 million. Even at 3% interest amortized over 20 years, that's roughly nearly $3.5 million debt service, which is equivalent to about 23 cents property tax increase. But if we keep that 5% sales tax on, we can save a lot of that money and be able to do that. But we can't go out here and spend money, in which we never have, foolishly. But we got to be more conservative now of how we spend each dollar. Because any time we take a dollar away from some other needs, we're taking away from the school system. And that's not what I want to do.
The safety of our town is always an important issue.
You bet.
Crime is always a concern in larger metropolitan areas. In cooperation with the Collierville Police Department, as alderman, what specific actions would you support to protect Collierville citizens?
I have supported the Collierville Police Department on every need that they have. We're going to have one of the greatest communication systems that we're being up to the 21st and 22nd century right now with our communication system. And if you want to learn how good our police department is, all you got to do is attend the Collierville Policeman Academy. We've got the best qualified, different, I would say, specialists there is. Whether it's a SWAT team or a patrol team or a sniper team or a psychological team, we got all those. And we got to continue to support that need. Because if you let safety go down or you let schools go down, the town goes down. That's the two factors of all the surveys that we've taken in the town of Collierville. That's why people come here. It's because of safety. And if you look at the last 10-year census, the population of seniors have grown about 30-some-odd%. And they move here, because I talk to a lot of them. I hit the road about every day. They want safety, and they want to be where their grandkids are and their kids are.
You know, taxes is always on everybody's mind.
Sure it is.
Would you support an additional tax if it were needed to support our police and fire departments?
Yes, but we don't need that right now. But if we had to have, what I would do to support is the additional taxes for our school system. We don't need the additional tax to support our police department because from my standpoint, we're giving them everything that they come forth that they need to do.
Okay. You know, these interviews, we're under some time constraints. So what we've done is try to hit on some broad-based issues and topics.
Right.
What I'd like for you to do now is, if you would, is there any topic or issue that we didn't cover, or maybe you want to spend more time covering, that we would like to touch on at this time?
Well, I think one of the things that sometimes we overlook in Collierville is our public service department. We've got one of the greatest public service departments I think you will find in the state of Tennessee. As that's why the town is so clean in a lot of cases. They'll pick up anything on the street, you might say. And they don't get enough credit. But to me, that's part of safety factor. Safety factor, and with the police and fire department that we got, we got, I think, about 30-something trained firemen in this town. They can go out on emergency calls, and most of our calls are emergency calls for health reason or something like that, I've experienced it. I know what I'm talking about. And they're some of the greatest ones, And I think that's where a lot of people say you see a little fee increase on sanitation and stuff like that. Believe me, they deserve it. Those people working night, day, rain or sleet, cold weather or hot weather, and they do a fabulous job.
All right, Tom, final question.
Yes, sir.
Why should the citizens of Collierville re-elect you?
Number one, I've got the experience. Number two, I'm going to be honest with everybody. Number three, I'm going to treat everybody equally. And number four, when a citizen has a complaint, I follow through with it. This is not a job to just go up and have a couple of meetings once or twice a month, This is a job to take care of the citizens that may have a complaint or may have a problem. And that's what I do. I've had calls at night as late as 11 o'clock at night. I've had calls on Sundays when I sit down to dinner that you got to come to my house. I've got a water problem. I go out there and see what I can do and help solve that problem. So this is why I think that I am totally qualified with my experience, my education, my management ability to be a qualified candidate for another term to Collierville Alderman.
Well, Tom, we appreciate you coming in today and giving our citizens a perfect example of where you lie with the issues. This concludes another session of Meet the Candidates. Thank you for joining us. The Collierville Chamber of Commerce would like to thank our candidates for their cooperation and participation today. We'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters for their compelling questions. And so much thanks goes to our Collierville School District, Collierville High School, Mr. Jeff Robbins, and his students in the Communications Department who assisted in this important project. Remember to please vote in our upcoming federal, state, general, and municipal election on November 4th of this year. Polls will open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Early voting begins October 15th and it will be held at all of our 21 satellite locations and continues through October 30th. Early voting polls are open weekdays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For more information about this early voting and where you can find a place to do that, you can check out more information at www.shelbyvote.com. Keep in mind, if you have friends who do not have access to public TV or the internet, we will have these interviews made available on DVDs. Voters will be able to check out a DVD from either the Collierville Birch Library or from the Collierville Chamber of Commerce. So on behalf of the staff and board of the Collierville Chamber of Commerce, we thank you for watching, and remember, please vote.